subject of death and dying can be a very difficult conversation to have. Many of us avoid having the conversation because it makes us uncomfortable. We don't want to worry or upset our loved ones, and we really don't want to face tough questions or think about our own death. Having open conversations about death and dying allows us to prepare ourselves and our loved ones on how we would like to create our own end-of-life journey. On every episode of Guided Crossings, we will explore a different part of the dying process and offer suggestions on how to prepare your loved ones as well as yourself. I'm your host, Andrea Sebastian, and this is Guided Crossings. Moving can be an overwhelming task for many, especially when you have been in a home for a long time. There is a lot of stuff to unload, and if the home belongs to an elderly parent who is downsizing, it can be extremely difficult. On today's episode of Guided Crossings, I'm pleased to welcome Brenda Douglas, owner of Stagework, to give us some helpful information, not just on moving our parents, but also for anyone contemplating a move. Brenda, welcome to Guided Crossings.
Hi, thank you for having me, Andrea.
And I know it's called Staged Works. Sorry about that. But how did you first get involved in staging?
So many years ago, hotel manager, very long time ago, mostly in Southern Florida, worked at many hotels, got to work with a lot of interior decorators and space planning and watching hotels being built and renovated. So really loved watching that process. Mm-hmm. And it was great. And then years later, finance job, all different things, got married, moved to New Hampshire, had my kids, and wanted to do something that I enjoyed doing versus driving to Boston 2 hours a day and 2 hours home every day.
I can't blame you for that.
So a friend mentioned, she said, you're good at that. You should, look into it. And I did. I met a woman that was really good at it, worked with her for a while, and then started out on my own in 2012. My niche is mostly working with real estate investors and doing vacant houses.
Okay.
They renovate the home. We kind of have a process. It's renovated, and right at the end, I come in, I stage, they do photographs, and the home is listed in the real estate. That's the biggest part of my business. Okay. The other part of staging is, well, let me back up. First of all, a lot of people think staging is decorating. And
right, I was going to ask you, there's a difference between interior designing
yes.
and staging.
Yes.
And, if you can explain the differences, that would be helpful.
Yes. So people go, do you decorate? And I say, no, I absolutely do not decorate.
But wouldn't staging kind of have a little bit of the decorating element, because you are sort of figuring out, I get it, you're not mm-hmm. going in going, put these tiles and this sort of thing, but mm-hmm. I've seen your website, and your work is phenomenal.
Thank you.
And you do get everything to flow really well. So in a way, I guess it's confusing to me, because I would think that's interior designing, but not technically what an interior designer does.
Correct. So we go into lots of homes. We go into old homes, we go into brand new homes, we go into homes that need a lot of work. So that part of my business, I usually work with realtors or investors, and they'll come in and say, okay, we need help with this client. This client needs to present their home so that we can get more money for it. We can mm-hmm. Make it valuable, make it more marketing to the buyer. And in those situations, depending on many different factors, adults working full-time with small children, a divorce situation, a death in the family, elderly people downsizing. And you also have to know what they're willing to do. So, you don't want to go against what the representative of the client is.
Right.
So we work together. I work with the realtor and the client to come up with the best situation for what they're willing to do, right? I can't come in and say, Andrea, you're going to get rid of every single thing in your house. And
it would have been really helpful. I just went through a move, Brenda. It would have been so helpful if you had just said, you don't need it, okay? Because I think that's the other side of it. There's a lot of emotion when you're moving. And I think, I talk a lot on this show about, death and dying. That's what Guided Crossings is all about. And one of the things that we don't talk enough about is when we have to move our parents out of their home. Mm-hmm. Do you see that a lot in your particular staging business?
Yes. So most of the consultation side is when we go in and talk to sellers. Most of them are downsizers. And downsizers are not necessarily elderly. They're retired. Their kids have gone off to college. They're not living there anymore. They have a huge property, and they want to move to something smaller for whatever reason. They want to move to be near their kids. So in those situations, there's two different things. There's the downsizer that's still very healthy, and then there's the elderly downsizer that might need to go to a nursing home, might need to move in with their children or assisted living. The downsizers that are still very healthy and just want to move, they're actually more willing to let go of their things than maybe the elderly person. I don't run into a lot of downsizers that say, I'm moving from a 5,000 square foot house to a 1,500 square foot condo in South Carolina, but I'm bringing everything with me. So, and I might go in and they might be doing that. They might go, nope, it's going to work. We're going to fit it somehow. And then I'll go through the reasons of, okay, tell me how that's going to work. So are you going to bring all this furniture down there and pay a huge storage fee? What do you, and then they kind of figure it out themselves after talking it out.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. You're going to hire a moving company. You can buy furniture down there that's probably less expensive than it is to move your existing furniture. It's not going to match your new home. The scale will be wrong.
Right. Yeah,
the sizes will be
size
wrong.
is important.
Right. So big furniture, big house, smaller furniture, small house. So those are the questions we go over. And then that's the first. So once they get on board with saying, okay, you know what, I'm ready to do this. We offer them all sorts of options. Would you like to have an estate sale? Would you like to have somebody come in and remove everything? There's companies, Get It Gone, free advertisement. Junk companies, all different kinds of companies that will come in and remove everything for them. You just point and, they take it away.
Yeah.
These days, it's very difficult to have yard sales. It's time consuming. It's just a lot of work for very little money.
Yeah. So as you know, like I recently moved, like yesterday we closed actually.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And one of the things that I found really frustrating and very disappointing was the amount of work I put in trying to sell something. And I finally was like we had a piano and I was like, no one wants this piano.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You can't just, you can't take a beautiful piano and just go, I'm going to get someone to trash it. So we did get lucky. A friend ended up going, no, I want it. And I was like, oh, thank you, because I wasn't ready. I would have put it in our storage unit because I was like, I can't get rid of that right now. And so let's talk a little bit about that with, you mentioned a company that comes in. And I know when I had our junk guy come, he said what he's finding is people now are leaving the house and just when the new owners get in, they call and say, take it all. Is that something you're seeing? Because that shocked me. I was like, how do you go through a closing with a final walkthrough and all the stuff is still there? Yeah, I would think.
That's a huge no-no. That's, any realtor would be having a heart attack if they
thought that was happening.
Thought that the house wasn't cleared out prior to the day of closing.
Yeah.
So I hope that doesn't happen too often. I haven't seen it in my experience very often.
Good.
A good realtor obviously is there all the time. They're making sure. They're also helping the client like I do. So that they're taking my advice and their own advice to the client. Okay, you've got to get this refrigerator needs to be gone. And many realtors, they sometimes end up doing it themselves.
Right.
They'll help the client. They do a lot for their clients because some people have health issues. They just really don't have the time or ability to do it. But someone leaving their entire property, that will happen. I'm sorry, that will happen in a foreclosure situation or in a as-is situation. So those are my investors will come in and buy it as is.
Okay.
Everything's in the house. Nothing's been touched. They literally bring in junk companies. It's a hoarder situation. It's
awful.
It's hazmat situation. It's ServPro situation.
The things you must see.
So I get to see it at the end. I'm not usually there at the beginning of those because the investor just comes in and
they make
them
the decisions.
But then other situations like things like dining room sets, grandfather clocks, curio cabinets. Master bedroom, dark wood, big, huge bedroom sets.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what's trending? So, what if someone is thinking of downsizing, whether it's a situation of an elderly parent or whatever, is there stuff that, is really still trendy and it looks good, or is it just, I don't know, it just needs to go?
So it depends again on where they're going, but I'd say most of the time it's always something smaller. And if it's another big property, usually they're like, we're good, we're taking it, and I'm not needed. It's the ones that they can't take everything, and how do we do it? So if somebody's having a really difficult time with separating themselves from their memories, I give them options. I said, if you really want to keep these with you, fine, we'll pack them up, we'll put them in a storage unit, and then I give them all the reasons why that wouldn't be a good idea.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's their decision.
But I think that's the thing. I think if someone, and we talk about it a lot on this show, is the act of the control. If you feel you're in control of that stuff, then you can make intelligent decisions.
Yes.
But it's when someone's coming and talking at you and saying you got to get rid of everything, that you feel so like you have no control over anything, especially if you've just been given a bad diagnosis or something. You don't have control over your health. You don't have control over your home. I mean, it's just, it's really kind of sad,
And I do run into that a lot with adult children and their parents. The adult children are trying, in their view, they're helping their parents. They also have their own lives, their own jobs, their own kids, their own life, but they're also over there. I'm helping you. I'm packing. I'm painting. I'm bringing things to savor. And the parent is frustrated, and the children are frustrated because neither of them are appreciating what the other one's doing
or going through.
Yeah,
because I think also too from a parent, I guess a parent standpoint, if you're helping your parent, it's emotional for you as well, because you're having to understand what's happening. And it's hard to have that open communication to sort of say, hey, let's just take a second, let's process all of this and figure it out. That's really, it's really interesting.
So that's where someone like a realtor or myself should come in. They, like any situation, right? You're never going to listen to your parents. You're never going to listen to your kids.
Right.
You'll listen to a total stranger.
Yeah.
But you won't take advice from your own family that, knows you the best. But bring in somebody that doesn't know me and, they said so.
Right.
Which ends up, the light bulb goes off, and when they hear it, I have a situation right now at the home with a smoker. And, of course, smokers can't smell smoke in the home. And one of the spouses doesn't. And she's working very hard to prep it, but he doesn't feel it smells and it's not necessary. And that's a big conversation. So when strangers come in and they say, it doesn't smell, because he doesn't believe her, I had a mask on. The other woman had a mask on because I have asthma, and I said, I can't stay in here long. And he said, really? And I said, no, I go, allergies. I said, especially people aren't around smoke like years ago.
Right.
We all grew up with smoke, but if you don't, you're extremely sensitive to it, and no one smokes anymore. So it's highly sensitive, not like it was when we were growing up with our parents.
It was like through the smoke.
Right, we're like, oh, you're over there on the other side of the room.
Dinner?
So then he said, like he needed a good reason to justify believing it versus just having one person say it smells in here or I still have cigarette smoke. And I literally had another client, the realtor had them pay $12,000 for smoke remediation.
Wow.
Really, really not just painting and removing the carpet, painting the walls, removing wallpaper.
It's an expensive habit.
Really, really. If you've immediately probably excluded 75% of your buyers if you're going to leave a home smelling. If you want to get much less value for your home, sell it to an investor. They'll come in and do that and make money. But if you want top dollar for your house, obviously it will not happen with the home as is.
Right.
So we go through and or I go through and I will make lists of things for people that, your Hummel collection, your photographs.
And I was going to say too, I think for me, pictures are the only thing that really matters to me. Like that's my life, my kids, everything is pictures. Yep. So anything else I can kind of get rid of, I don't have that kind of emotional attachment. So you're saying like the Hummels and things. And what I find really fascinating too is, I had a whole bunch of crystal and silver and stuff that I got as wedding gifts. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so I would show my kids, and I've got 4 kids. I had no takers. And I'm just like, guys, I can't just, and so like one of my daughters was like, fine, I'll take that, you know, because I was like, I can't get rid of it yet, you know, but I don't need it. So I know like it'll be gone. She'll be like, no, it's in the basement. And hey, it won't be in the basement.
I want it on your living room table every time I come over. So, you know, many years ago, you know, I think after the Depression, people had very little money. You know, you were looking forward to getting something from your parents and your grandparents. You cherished that, right? Like it was handed down, like, I hope I get this, I hope I get that.
You fought over it.
Yeah. And then, you know, starting in the 80s, you know, nothing was expensive anymore. I mean, you know, you can go to a clothing store and get $100 worth of clothes to last you 5 years. Or everything's not expensive, so material stuff was not expensive anymore. So, you know, gluttony, like too much. We have too much of everything. And the styles changed. So, you know, the Mikasa candy dish, you know, years ago was $100. You know, you can't give those away now for like 50 cents. So our kids in that generation don't look at that as valuable. Their taste is so different, right? So different. Very minimalistic. Again, allergies is a huge thing. Lots of kids have very issues with sensory things. So no carpeting, no wallpaper, nothing fluffy, you know, no window treatments, you know, very clean. So, you know, all our stuff, we don't have a lot of tchotchkes. There's not a lot of things on the curio cabinets, don't exist. Entertainment centers don't even exist, right? Because we hang the TV on the wall.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I like it as much. I don't know.
And it's open concept, right? So you don't even have wall space anymore. Everything is like you can see all 4 walls. It's all windows, so you don't have a lot of room to put stuff anymore.
Do you ever like go into a home and like the person has stuff, but like you could use it for your staging, so that I know you have a huge van and you bring all the stuff. I've seen you, you know, often do it. But, you know, I ever go in and go, wow, like, y'all did really good. I can keep this. Because I know that the first rule is take all your personal memorabilia off the walls and all this. Like, don't make it look like your home. I get that, you know,
take your personality out of the home.
But do you ever, like, have that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, there'll be many homes I go in, we're going to keep that picture. We're going to keep that pillow. We're going to use that rug. We're going to keep that couch. And then I'll list, these are the things that have to go. Please bring the chair from downstairs. We'll put that in the living room.
Oh, that's
Get
cool.
rid of the living room
must make
furniture.
the elderly people who are being kind of taken out of the house feel good that their stuff is useful.
Yes, absolutely. And I get it a lot from my elderly clients. They said, well, it's neutral and there's nothing wrong with it. And I said, I know it's neutral, but it's outdated, the style's wrong, it's too big for the scale's wrong. It's not that it's in excellent condition. It's fine, it's the color, it's the
they put plastic on it all.
It hasn't been used or sat on it ever, right? Because the former living room, nobody sits in the former living room.
Oh, man.
But it's, you know, so those flowers that have been there for 25 years, and the artwork. I mean, it gets dusted every week. But I said there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it's not marketable for somebody younger than us that's going to come by your house. Their style is very different from our style, right? I like my house. I stage houses. I don't stage my own house.
Right. Well, because you're not selling your house.
I'm not selling my house.
You can have what you want.
Staging's very cold and minimal, and it's not warm and fuzzy. The purpose of it is so that you can see the walls of the home, you can see the windows. You're not covering everything up, because then you'll be looking at that red oriental rug, or you'll be looking at the gold framed busy picture. You want, you know, tchotchkes to be very clean and just kind of give it a little bit of touch up, but not block anything. Most of our couches are not comfortable. My couches weigh 30 pounds because I have to take them apart. I have to carry them upstairs, put them back together again. So it looks pretty.
It was funny. I got a good tip when I used to do another show called The Loft, and you were on it.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you
that's
had
right,
talked about if you have an empty bedroom, and, you know, people need the visualization. People can't just say, oh, look, there's a bedroom
they don't
here.
Know how big
they don't
it is.
know anything.
They don't understand.
And you said just take a blow-up mattress. And I was like, that is so smart. Because why would you haul in mattresses and stuff like that? No one's sitting on the bed, or they shouldn't be, you know?
Right.
So that was kind of a really cool tip back then. And I was just like, wow, you know, that's...
So over the years, I've learned the lightest way to do something, the most convenient way, because, you know, my van is a clown car. We can fit a full house of furniture in an extended van. So everything has to come apart, go back together. It has to not be heavy. You know, artwork, we only use canvas artwork because, you know, the people that have just redone the house don't appreciate me putting big holes in their walls.
Right.
So we hang light things just, you know, just for the effect, not, oh, that's an expensive picture. I saw it such and such. It's not. Some people think, oh, well, this isn't an expensive couch. It's not meant to be. I'm not designing your home. I'm not bringing in a Pottery Barn. Well, I shouldn't say that. Certain price points, we do bring in much more valuable pieces, but the cost is, you know, 10 times over than what we usually do. But very light. It looks amazing. The couches are very low because a lot of windows. You want to see the window. You don't want furniture blocking the windows. We use a lot of floor plants so that when you're looking at we work very closely with the photographer. So, you know, when the photographer's taking a picture of the room, you want something to be in every wall. So if you leave this wall empty, it's not going to be balanced. So whether it's a picture or a floor plant or a rug, something to just make the room cohesive.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, one of the things that I thought was really cool when you were talking about putting in your furniture and all this kind of stuff, do you ever have someone go, after you've staged it, they're like, I don't want to sell it now because it looks so perfect.
Yeah. Like we gave them a lot of ideas, right? We gave them...
well, they love their house all of a sudden. And I think because you decluttered it. And I think that's what the
And no one would think
is.
I would never think to move those 2 chairs into the living room. Why didn't I think of that? Like everybody, you know, they moved in and their furniture never left the room it was in. But we will move around a lot of things and they'll go, oh my God, I can't even believe that looks so much better in there. And then taking out a lot of stuff, like minimizing each room, they feel, oh, it's so much bigger and brighter. And,
I mean, I found that too. Like, and you know, our house was relatively large per, you know, considering other people's homes and stuff like that, and just taking stuff out because we wanted it to just kind of look empty. And I was like, wow, like, do I really want to sell right now? Because I'm really like, now that this work is done, I'm loving this place.
It's
you know,
so freeing.
It is, and I don't think enough people understand that. I think that we hold on to so much stuff. And we think that it's good, but then it becomes overwhelming. And, you know, it's like, I'm not going down in that basement or I'm not going to the attic. And
I'm married to one of those.
My husband had no choice. He'd come home and go, were you busy today? I'm go check the basement.
So I can only declutter when he's away on vacation. And some stuff I might not be able to get out of the house. It's in the garage on its way out. And then 2 months later, I'll find it over in the corner hidden.
That's crazy.
And I was like, why do you need those 16 plastic cups that we saved from some vacation? Oh, you never know.
You never know. I know. And that makes it really tough. When, like, I know when my mom passed away, you know, there were things that she collected because we might need it. And I was just really grateful I had my sister with me because we just kind of played off of each other because you become attached to these things that really don't mean anything. But mom loved them. And then you know, you can't
You have to
go.
keep what means something to you from your mom.
Right. And I don't think you get that when you're going through it because there's so many other things you're trying to deal with, you know?
Right. So my sister wanted to keep everything. It's similar. So when both our parents passed away, my sister wanted to keep everything. My dad in life never kept anything. You know, my daddy and mom were pretty good about decluttering, but she was a keeper because I think they both didn't keep anything. So she's going to keep everything that she has. But she's even learned. She's like, why am I doing this? So you know, it's a process, and people have to do it their own way. But
is there anything that's really like, I know for me, getting rid of all the Beanie Babies. Everyone kept telling me, with all the Beanie Babies you have, you're sitting on a fortune. So I went online, I tried to find out, and like I think the only one that could make you money right now is the Princess Diana Beanie Baby. And I think, you know, is it worth it for some people? I mean, I don't know if you've had experience with this where people are like, no, I'm going to sell. And they're very good at doing that. And they find people, you know, even all your VHS tapes and all that stuff. I mean, what do you do with it
That's a full-time job within itself. There's so many collectors of different things, right? You could spend years just keeping track of whatever you have, and maybe just not at the moment. It's not valuable right now, but will it be valuable? So I tell people to research eBay, look back, eBay, beanie collections.
Right.
How far away? How many years ago when people hit the mother lode? Right. A few years ago, I think everybody sold them and they made some money. But then again, of course. Again, they're probably going to be worth something for some reason. So my brother-in-law in England, for example, he has a full-time job with a very high-end tech job, but his hobby is fixing Sony Walkmans, 1970 Sony Walkmans. He has literally like 1,000 of them in his basement.
I could have given him 2.
So the reason he's making a killing on these right now is because of, and I can't think of the name of the show. Oh my goodness.
There must be a show, yeah.
There's a TV show, a series, it's all based on the 70s and 80s. And in that show is all the stuff from the 70s and 80s. So Sony Walkmans are really popular in that show, so everybody wants one.
Wow.
Right? Everybody threw them away, they're broken.
Oh, yeah.
So he is making a killing. He gets $1,000 for one that's in mint condition in the box. So if you're willing to, whatever it is, coins, Hummels, Lennox,
but you need the
Mikasa.
space, and I think the point being that the emotion when you're older and you're trying to declutter and things like that, you just don't have it, You
don't have it, and it's not something you're, artwork, right? Like alone, like there's so much artwork out there that, okay, it was painted in the early century. Was the artist good? Yeah, but it's faded. The frame's broken. So estate sale people have taught me too. They're like, if it's, if they have this, and this, worth nothing. These might be, and so I kind of look to them a lot sometimes too to say, are you getting any money for this stuff? Should I just tell them to, let it go? And if they have enough things in their home, a estate sale person will come in and they will bring in experts and say, and they know what to sell things for, and let the client know that they can. If they don't have time to do it themselves, they can at least sell it to somebody that will appreciate it.
Well, and I think that just adds value to what you're talking about, so that, you could do it on your own, or sometimes it really does help to hire a professional to figure out.
It's your health, it's the time you have, it's where you're going. You need a lot of family members. You really do need a lot of friends, family members, or people you can hire to start, 25, 30, 40 years of collecting your home. Say you've gotten dumpsters and you've made 100 trips to the dump and savers, and you've sold and you've given everything to your kids that you want. At that point, then you have a whole new job. Then you're like, oh, wow, the carpeting's awful. The walls need to be fixed. The lights are outdated. The ceiling's dirty, right? Because once you get rid of all the stuff, so that's what we talk about in staging. We first. You have to declutter, then you see the problems, and you have to repair everything. You might have to update. And when people say, well, I don't want to put a lot of money into it, I said, you're not putting money into it, you're maintaining.
Right.
It's like a rental. You move into a rental. When you move out, everything should be put back to the way it was. You don't just leave it filthy and dirty for the next person. They're not going to want it.
Right.
Same in your home. You should maintain it. The landlord should maintain it, so should the homeowner. And if someone says, well, I'm just not going to do anything, but I still want this much money, highly unlikely. But so I'll give them a dollar figure. So I'll say, okay, so you expect this much for your home. The buyers are going to want $20,000 to paint. They're going to want, $15,000 for new flooring. They're going to need a new roof. And I put a dollar figure to that. The pool is broken. So I said, at the end of the day, you can ask $1 million, but you're not going to get it, and this is why. The buyer's going to want, they're either not going to even ask, they're just going to, you're out of their price range. Or, you can either do the work up front and make the money, or sell it as, but you're going to have to go way below. So, and then they go,
Brenda,
what?
You have been a wealth of information. Thank you so much for taking the time to come talk to us. Because
thank you for having me.
It's just, there's so much.
I could talk for hours, so thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for this edition of Guided Crossings. Thanks for joining us.
The subject of death and dying can be a very difficult conversation to have. Many of us avoid having the conversation because it makes us uncomfortable. We don't want to worry or upset our loved ones, and we really don't want to face tough questions or think about our own death.
Having open conversations about death and dying allows us to prepare ourselves and our loved ones on how we would like to create our own end-of-life journey. On every episode of Guided Crossings, we will explore a different part of the dying process and offer suggestions on how to prepare your loved ones as well as yourself. I'm your host, Andrea Sebastian, and this is Guided Crossings.